Hey guys. Hey guys. Welcome to another episode of Hello World with your girl Joy from Be the Difference Clothing. I hope everybody is doing well tonight. I know it's been a couple of days and all that, but the holidays are over pretty much. The spending time is over. So now it's time to buckle down and, keep some of that money and know what to do with that excess money that maybe we didn't spend or maybe we did. I don't know. But before we get started with our guest, I need to share out the stream. Let me share it out and invite some people through. Let's see. I have to go on Twitter first. How was everybody's Christmas? I hope you're doing good. I hope it was fun. If you don't celebrate the holidays, I hope you still had a great time, a day off, or hanging out, whatever you did. Let me see. Uh, I'm over here just sending out on Instagram. Let's see. I'm not Instagram, Twitter. I'm doing this on Twitter real quick. Hey, Verns, thanks for coming through. Good to see you. And let me share it out on Facebook. Now, again, as always, we should definitely, if you have questions for the guest, come through and ask in question marks, and we'll get those questions asked. But before we start that, let me just update you guys on how I've been doing. So I woke up this morning. I wanted to go to the gym, and that didn't happen. I ended up running some errands, and after that, I pretty much just recorded, edited. I had a good conversation with a friend of mine, and that was cool. It's good to talk to people. Let me just say, come through. And then what else did I do? Oh, I didn't spend any money today. Isn't that amazing? I didn't spend any money yesterday or today. So I was like, this is a great topic to have. How you been, Verns? Good to see you. Hey, Gigi, how you doing? Good to see you too. Thank you, Verns. Hi, Oliver. Good to see you. Long time no see. And what else did I do? That's pretty much it. I plan on going to the gym tomorrow because I haven't been there in a long time, and I need to buckle back down and get my rhythm together. I do have equipment that I've been purchasing little by little on my own, and I will be utilizing that in between the times where I can actually go to the gym. Um, but yeah, definitely, that was pretty much my day. I hope you guys had a good one. Hanging in there, girl. This will help me since I'm not employed. Oh, okay. I hope so. I hope so. And um, our guest, you know, I know he's very knowledgeable in finances and freedom and all this because I've been following him for a while. And I think that he has great things that we can think of. Some things we may know, some things you don't. At the end of the day, it's all about learning different things and understanding life. Hey, Patty D, we have a member. We have a member. And it's Verge. And it's Patty D. Good to see you guys. Hi, Just Sean. Again, like I said, hey, Natural Laricia. Like I said, if you have questions for our guest, please put a question mark before and after. He will answer them to the best of his ability. And also, just have an open ear and an open heart. Maybe you'll learn something new, maybe not. But at the end of the day, it might change your perspective on what you think about money. So I'm not going to delay it any further. At the end of the day, oops, it might change your perspective. Sorry about that. I was just looking at myself. I'm not going to delay it any longer, and I want to introduce you guys, maybe for the first time, to some. Again, his link is tagged up. His website is tagged up in the pin. So if you ever want to book a consultation directly, you can also do that. But I'm not going to delay it any further. This is a presentation about financial freedom, and I'd like to introduce to you, and some to new and to old, Billy, actually Bill. Hi, how are you?
Hi, good evening. This is Bill. I'm down here in Virginia. Wish I was in Florida on the beach, but what can I tell you? Can't have everything.
So, I want to start off by asking what interests you in financial freedom? What was it? Have you always been into finances?
We actually, I know that I've always been in finances, but I've always been around it. I've been directly in it. It's always been a service that you would like to have, at least the knowledge of it, to help you make informed decisions going forward. So it's always been there, never been in it directly. But in 2002, I joined this organization just before we had the dot-com crisis. You know what happened to that, right? So because of that experience, and then 2008, we had the mortgage crisis. Those two really propelled me to be in this business, because I've seen a lot of the effect of lack of education in finance, basically.
Okay.
Living in places you can't afford, spending and not saving, the basic difference between investing and saving. You can put money in the bank, but at some point in time, that money has to grow so it can take care of you. So that was my angle getting into it. But I've always been interested in this stuff. This is a fun business to be in. Yeah.
How long have you been in it?
Well, I started out in 2002. And in 2008, because of the downturn in the economy, I actually got out of the business. In retrospect, terrible mistake. Because when things are down, that's when you want to get in, because that's when it's cheap. Things are down, the market is down, all that stuff. That's when you really want to get in. I got back in. I think I re-signed up and got my license 3 years ago. I've been back in the business officially, mostly full-time, for about 3 years, three years. It was like 2000 and 2008, and then 3 years ago. So that'll be it. 9 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is the name of the company that you work with?
We are independent contractors to a broker-dealer called World Financial Group. That's our company. And the company allows you to come in and build a company of your own under the umbrella. So there's no back office expense. They take care of all the back office expense. The licensing, you have to do yourself, but they maintain them, give you, tell you, wait, your license is coming up for renewal. You don't have to remember those things, because you have 50 states and you have 20 licenses. That is tough to manage. So you get all these notifications coming towards you to update. You don't have to pay attention to that. You have to do it, but it's not a day-to-day activity for you. You can actually concentrate on running your business. And secondly, we have a whole suite of technology behind us. Everything right now. When I started out in 2002, we had paper apps walk around to people's homes. Now we just show up with a laptop and we download everything once you have an internet connection. So, but most of business is that way now anyway. So, really, really good organization, good people, and you get a lot of help from them. You can always call on people for information. You can call on the companies themselves for information. So we have pretty good connections.
Now that the holidays are over, I know 2020 has been like catastrophic for a lot of people, and a lot of people may not have been able to do the ritualistic things like, overspend on gifts and such. Some maybe did. But what do you recommend to the everyday person to do now that the holidays are over and now we're transitioning into a new year, and maybe your finances are not where they were? Maybe you need to be in that bounce back. Like, what would you recommend an everyday person to do at this point?
An everyday person is probably 90% of the population. So when this information is for almost everybody. So one, you can't figure out where you want to go until you know where you are. So financially speaking, you need to sit down and say, all right, this is how much money comes in. This is how much I need to do for groceries, for savings, for investing, for rent, so you have to have a picture of a financial picture of yourself, the family. Could be individual also. We call that a personal financial strategy, where you say, this is my income, these are my expenses, and at the end of the day, I have this left over. Then you say, what do I do with what's left over? Problem is, most people, there's nothing left over. We have to wait till next pay period, sometimes to cover the things from last month. And that's the problem. So you have to start adjusting things. So let's look at what do you need to do? Find a way to make more income, number one. If I don't make enough money, what can I get into that on a part-time basis could generate money for me on a part-time basis? Now, that's the first thing. If you don't have that, but if you have enough capital, have enough cash left over, disposable income, so to speak, what do I do with this disposable income? I can go shopping, I can buy a new car, I can do this, I can do this. But how about saving and investing? How about thinking long-term? 40 years, 30 years from now, I'm going to retire. Now, if I take small amounts of money today and put it in specific places, maybe when I retire, there's enough money to take care of me for the rest of my life. Now, if you're a guy, you're probably going to die younger than your wife, but your wife probably going to outlive you by 10 years. And usually, when the husband passes away, the wife has already used up all the family's assets just to take care of you for medical expenses and surgeries and whatever happens to you. So the wife is usually left in a tough position after, for example, the husband passes away. So for the women listening here, they really should pay attention to that long-term strategy, not more than the man, but certainly think about it and plan for that going down the road. So your question, create a financial picture of yourself. What do I make? How much money comes into the house? How do I spend it? And then what's left over? And then we can talk of specific things like, am I contributing to my 401k at work? Do I have an IRA? Do I have insurance? What kind of coverage do I have? Am I paying too much for this? Where can I cut back if you need to save money? Where do I cut back? And not only cutting back, but if I save money here, where do I put it so it grows? It grows and builds for me, for my future. So those are the basic things I would think you need to take care of the first week in January. You sit down, you spend a day or two, and you say, all right, this is my financial picture. Where do I go from here? And it's a good idea to sit down with somebody in the industry that you trust and get a couple of opinions about what do I do with this money? How do I move forward? And if I don't have the money, what can I do to build a second source of revenue to get me out of debt, get me debt free, for example, and then invest for the future.
Do you recommend or have a general idea of what kind of investments we can actually make?
Well, investments there's savings. I get some money. I work. I get a check. I get income, and then one of the best investments for people that are employed is to contribute to your retirement plan, especially if your company is matching it. We suggest to people to contribute to the max. So if they contribute the max of their contribution, so your company may say, all right, whatever you put in, we'll contribute 3%. So you put 3, they put 3, you get 6%. So 6% of your salary, 6% of your salary would go into a retirement plan for you long term. So that's the first thing. Why? Because everybody's working, we all have jobs, and most jobs have retirement plans. If your job doesn't have a retirement plan, concentrate on an IRA. Two things happen with 401ks and IRAs. That contribution is deductible for that year. So you get a contribution and you get a deduction all at the same time. So you benefit two ways. And secondly, you look for investments that are safe. We like safe investments. So you put money away, it grows. So let's look at what a safe investment would be. A Roth IRA, for example. Similar rules, but it's after tax dollars. So which means you pay the taxes, then you put the money in the Roth IRA. It's tax-free for life. You never pay taxes on it again, and it gets to grow tax deferred. So tax deferred would be my next best thing. So you have your contributions at work. If you have any disposable income beyond that, an IRA would be my second place. People talk about buying stocks and all the other stuff. We can talk about those things later, but those are more risky investments. There are better places you could put your money. But those two would be my top two. Contribute to your IRA at work. If you have extra money, open up a Roth IRA. Why? Because it's tax-free forever once you put the money in there.
What do all of those mean? Like, in case there's somebody that doesn't know what IRA means and a Roth IRA.
It's an individual retirement account. IRA, individual retirement account. It's a retirement account set up by the IRS, the government, that allows you to put money away now. You contribute now and take the money out to take care of yourself later. It's a retirement product. Retirement product. It's not something you want to put money into and take out to go shopping. There are penalties and everything associated with it we can talk about later, but that would be an IRA. The 401k is just what it says. 401k plan is a IRS code. 401k, IRA, they're all IRS codes that allow you to contribute money for retirement. If you work for a school or a non-profit, those use 403bs. Same idea, but it's designed for non-profit organizations. Schools, hospitals, and the like would have 403bs. And there are a couple of others, 457s and the like, but that's the idea. It's an IRS code. And anybody who wants information, we can always send them some information.
Yeah, and again, it's pinned in the comment section if you ever wanted to, go ahead and make an appointment. So for a secondary income, most of us already work 40 hours a week. And what do you think is like not like a risky, but like a smart secondary, I guess a part-time job? Would it be like Uber versus getting like another job?
I worry about anybody that's working a full-time job and spending a lot of time on a part-time job because you have no life. So I'll tell you what we do. Okay, Alex. Sorry, Joy. Talk to her. Well, tell you what we do. We have we are a financial service organization, like I said, and we do three things. One, we service the customer. That's our job. We find a customer that needs a retirement product, an investment product, life insurance, for example, an annuity product. Those are all names. We can discuss those later. And we can provide a service to them. So we can look at their situations. We can use this product, this product, this product from various companies, almost 200 companies we have affiliations with, to serve that customer. Secondly, we do a lot of education. So before we say, we think you should do this, we actually look at your profile and says, all right, this is suitable for you under these conditions. So that's one. So we do education, we do studies, but we also provide a business opportunity for you to get on board with us, get licensed. It's a life insurance and health insurance license, the first license. Get on board with us and get affiliated with as many companies as you like. We usually do 4 or 5, and as you go down the road, you can add others. As you find customers that need more products, you can do that and build a business with us. It gives you an opportunity to learn within 3 to 6 months to learn what you're doing, and then to start reaching out to your friends and family, your neighbors, to educate them also, because that education is probably the first thing to do. Then we, as you go out and meet customers, as a matter of fact, we send you out, we go out with a trainer. You don't go out by yourself. You go out with a trainer and you do business, you participate. The company pays our company a commission. We get paid commissions from that. Now, most of the people I see do this business do it part-time. We all come into the business with full-time jobs. My last 3 guys on here joined the business in 2017, middle of 2017, are making up $100,000 part-time. Now, those are people that know a lot, have a great big network of people they can do business with. So if you don't have a large network of people, you will have to build that network. So you may be doing instead of 18 months, 2 years, 3 years to get there. But the intent is to actually fire the job. Just walk away one day and says, retire, resign from this guy. This is what I'm going to do in full time. But you can do a significant amount of part-time cash flow in this business. You get part-time cash flow. It does take a while because you have to learn the stuff, you have to get licensed, and you have to get some training on the job training, in the field training, in front of your customer training, basically. So that's what we do. That's what honestly, and I think this is one of the better opportunities out there right now in financial services. While it's a large industry, $1 trillion industry we are here, and there's that tremendous need for what we do. That's where I would look at it. But I know a lot of people that do a full-time job and then do part-time jobs, and sometimes it's not anything. You can't build anything in a part-time job. You go to Uber, you're not really building anything. You know, there are other places you can go out and find an opportunity, but you want to be able to build something. No point going from one job to the other. I look at it this way. I've been working at a job for 20 years. I'm not getting anywhere. I go from paycheck to paycheck to paycheck to paycheck. Everything is emergency. How does going to another job just like the one I have change anything? So you have to find somewhere where you can start off at some point and grow the business over time. And I find this to be one of the best ones. For me, this is where I plant my flag, and that's the reason. It's something you can build. It's yours. You own it. You can give it to your kids. You can sell it. It's yours. At no point in time you're going to own Uber. That's all I'm saying. You can't build an Uber instead of an Uber, but I can build a financial services business inside of this organization.
It's true.
And we have lots of examples of great successes inside the organization.
It's true. I mean, you're right. You're right. I think the key to it is ownership. You just said it right there.
Yeah.
Having ownership to something that you can pass down to your generations after generations.
Yep, definitely.
That's good. I like that. I think right now, because of 2020, right? How risky do you think it is now to like start a business versus going into getting more financial service, getting life insurance and all that other stuff?
Right now, I think it's a challenging time because there's just so much going on. 2020 was great for some people and really terrible for others. And we lost 300,000 people plus. So that just tells you how bad it was. I mean, country has never lost that many people in 1 year ever. Maybe the Civil War, but not in our recent history. So it's been a tough year for everybody except for wealthy people. Look at two things that's going on. There are people on the street lining up for food, and the stock market is at a record high. Two extremes. How does that happen? Greatest country in the world. How does that happen? How can we have food lines with a record Wall Street? There's just a tremendous disconnect. There's something going on that the average people are just not participating in. So we are probably the wealthiest country in the world, and everybody is always worried about money. What's the problem? What's really going on? Why people are always worried about the salary, the car payment, the mortgage payment. I mean, thousands of people lost their homes in 2008. Why is that? What's going on? Why are the wealthy getting wealthier and the poor seem to getting poorer? The middle class seem to getting squeezed down. There's something going on in society. And I think it's all, we are convinced it's all about education. You don't know what you don't know. As simple as that. Once you get educated, then you start making better financial choices. Not that you won't have challenges, but you make financial choices that lead you that protects you from the downturns in the market. When things go bad, you have something to fall back on, basically. You can't have no nest egg. For a good example, we tell people to have a 3 to 6 month emergency fund set up. So these are my expenses. I can cover those expenses for 6 months if something happens. So let's suppose COVID happened in March and you lost your job. You could probably go the rest of the year if you manage your emergency fund because you have an emergency fund. What happens if you have no emergency fund? If you will go from one paycheck to the next paycheck to the next paycheck and never put some money away. If you lose your job in March, then you get some unemployment and all the other stuff, and then you run out of money, I don't know, whenever you run out of money. There's nothing left for you, so you end up on the food line. If you had 3 to 6 months of money put away, you could tap into it, small amounts at a time, as needed. Just use it down as needed while you try to find other sources of income. But if you have nothing, you're really in a bind. And I think that's what's happening today to thousands, hundreds of thousands of people in the country. In all states, it looked like. So,
and I think, like you said, the education part.
Yeah.
Like if you're not educated to know that it's important to have a financial emergency fund, you're not going to think anything of it because you're used to just living paycheck to paycheck.
It becomes a habit. Oh, I need to wait for my check so I can do something. No, if your car breaks down, it shouldn't be an emergency. If you've been working for the last 5 years, you should be able to just fix it. But if you have to put it on a credit card and half the time on 20% interest, you're just digging a deeper hole for yourself every time you do that. A deeper hole for yourself.
How would you recommend we get out of debt?
Oh, same way. Figure out where you are and start. Well, another thing, you can call your most people's debt is really credit cards. Those are the really bad ones because you miss a payment, they raise the interest rate. So you may start off at 9% or whatever. You miss a couple of payments. Now it's 19%. Now, there's something called the rule of 72. And if you take that interest rate and divide it into 72, it gives you an idea of how long it takes to double your money. You end up paying twice and 3 times as much for that, debt because of that increase in interest rates and not paying it off. Nobody wants to pay off their credit card anymore. They have revolving balances. So that's one thing. Now, like the question was, what do you think to do to get out of debt? First, figure out where you are. Write the debts down. If it's credit card debt, call the company, ask them for a reduction in interest rate. And sometimes you just have to have found some customers in such bad situation. All they really had to do was cancel credit cards and make a deal to pay the thing back over time. I'm not one of those people that propose bankruptcy. I think that's reserved for a really bad situation. A really bad situation, bankruptcy. But for the average person, you can actually work your way out of it. As a matter of fact, it's a good thing to work your way out of it. Why? Because it gives you the discipline. If you so I'm going to pay $500 a month on these cards so I can pay them off in the next 2 years, 24 months. And you just go in every month, you pay them off, pay it off. The balance comes down, you pay the debt off. It gives you a number of things. One, it makes you feel good. One, because you're getting out of this debt. And secondly, it also gives you discipline. It teaches you to be disciplined to do that. So once you finish paying those credit cards off, you can still use that $500, but now you're going to put it in savings or investments. So that's first thing. There's no point having some money in the bank. I have $10,000 in the bank and I have $10,000 of credit card debt. That doesn't make sense. Take the $10,000, pay off the credit card bills. That's where you start. Then everything after that, you start putting away. So a lot of time. So the first thing you do is to figure out what debts you have, figure out how you're going to get them, call them, ask them for reduction in interest rates, and do whatever it's necessary to resolve those debts, to eliminate those debts. And once they're eliminated, then you can move forward. But don't try to save when you have this huge burden of debt on your shoulder. You want to get rid of the debt, then concentrate on savings.
Mm-hmm. And then go to you.
You can call me. We can definitely have a conversation. No problem.
Yeah.
And by the way, there's no fees. We don't do fee consultation. We only make money through the company. So we do make money through the business we do. So I'm not going to tell you, oh, by the way, I need a $1,500 check. I'm not. That's not going to happen. We
educate.
Commissions to us. That's how we make money.
You educate.
We educate. We educate. We service. We do sell. So if you buy, we get paid. We get paid for our money is taken care of. Don't have to worry about it.
Mm.
Yeah.
No, but I think we all need to be more educated with financial freedom, finances, and such. Now, let me ask you this question. So, God forbid if there was absolutely like a separation of the family. So, like,
Uh,
you're married and now you're separated. Like, what would you recommend those two individuals do now? Because it's like the income is drastically going to change.
you're talking about married and divorce.
Yeah.
You want me to be a preacher? I'll put on my preacher's hat for a while. No, I unfortunately, some marriages don't work. I mean, some people walk away. That's true, and there are legal ways to fix that. So I don't have to get involved in that. The court will tell you how to separate the assets. I've seen people separate assets, and one part of the family spends all the money in like 6 months to spend it all, and then come back to the other guy and say, by the way, I need some more money. But once the court separates the stuff, it's you gone. It's over. There's no, there's no financial commitment to the other anymore. There's no more. But that's a legal thing. What we like to concentrate, what we concentrate more on though, are families that are together, that are looking to be together, that would like protection down the road. So we look at things like, if I'm sick and I go to the hospital, who's in charge of making the decision whether I stay on the machine or not? So power of attorney for that. Who pays my bills if I'm sick and I can't pay them myself? Who have access to my checkbook and my checking account, my savings account? So we have for that. If I die, what happens to my assets? Where do they go? Can I determine where they go? So that we do a will, or we can do a trust to put assets. So if anything happens to you, if you die, we know we can get the trust, we know we can get the will, and we can do that stuff here. So we suggest that people have a power of attorney for the medical, one of those for financial, somebody takes care of those two, somebody that's a will that says this is what I want done when I die, or a trust. Wills and trust are different vehicles, but you start with a will and you build it into a trust, and you put the assets in the trust. So that's where I would look at. On a separation, I think that's most a legal thing. But once the separation happens, you want to find a financial service person. Usually in families, one person thinks of the money, the other one doesn't. So usually there's a deficiency. There's one person that needs the education more than the other. Usually it's the wife. The men usually are the one taking care of all the other stuff. The women cook and pay the bills and everything else, but that not to be sexist or anything, historically that is the way it is. So in the separation, you really want to sit down with the wife, the disadvantaged spouse, for want of a better word, and come up with a plan for them. So we can do that too. You can sit and say, look, these are the assets I got out of the divorce. What do I do with them? What's the best thing for me to do with them? Do I have a retirement plan? What insurance should I get? Should I get insurance to cover myself? Just in case I die, my kids can get taken care of. So that's where we look at it. We look at the family as a unit, and we try to keep the family as best protected as possible. Wills, trust, power of attorney, those kinds of things. But the legal stuff in separation, we just leave it to the courts. Mm-hmm. Leave that up to the courts.
What is like a recommend? Like, would you recommend someone who's like turning 18 or 21 to start with your services?
Well, let's leave our services aside. I think we have to go into the high schools and the middle school and teach financial education. I think we should be doing that today. I think we should be doing it rigorously in schools, so that when kids get out and they get even before they get out, they get that first job, they understand, wow, I can put my money away. I don't have to go to the mall every day. I think that's where we start. Our services are like many other companies provide similar services. So the services are there. If all these services are there and only the wealthy are taking advantage of them, why is that? Why is only the wealthy people taking advantage of them? The average person really don't take advantage of them. And it's that education thing, the education thing. But the services are there. There are hundreds of companies doing this kind of service.
Mhm.
Another problem about the services, though, most companies go after affluent customers. I will not talk to you because you're not making $100,000 a year. I assume you don't need help. We focus a lot on the middle class people, people that can afford to save $200 a month, $100 a month, $50 a month. As good a customer as a guy who could save $1,000 a month to us. So our customers come from the little guy that can just afford $50 to the affluent guy who can afford hundreds of thousands of dollars. So we have rollover accounts in the $500,000 range, but we have $50 accounts just for individuals that are starting out. So they can build asset over time. The more time you have to build your asset, the smaller the number you put in is going to be. So,
I like that. I like that a lot.
for example, we have one little chart here. There's a high cost of waiting. It says, if you have 40 years to retire and you save $600, $650 a month, you could have $1 million nest egg. But if you only have 10 years to retire, you have to put $6,000 in there for the next 10 years to get to the same point. So the sooner you get in, the smaller the investment you have to put in over time. If you have time, that's where you want to start. So what does that mean? The younger you start, the better off you are. That's all it really means. Yeah. So
That's good. And then what would you recommend somebody who opens their own business now, and you open your own business and you need to have like stuff for your employees? Would that be some services that you cover too?
Yes, we do that. We can provide various products and services for example, we do a lot of group life insurance if you needed to cover those employees. We can do a 401k plan. Well, I can't because I don't have a securities license, but we have guys in our group that could do a 401k plan for you. We can do Roth 401k plans. We can do all the business services we can provide. If you want legal conversations or accounting conversations, we don't do that. We just recommend. We have lawyers will say, all right, talk to that customer, make an appointment so you can sit down, talk to a lawyer. If you have a legal issue, if you have an accounting issue, talk to an accountant. If you have a tax issue, talk to a tax person. So we don't try to do all that stuff. That's not our business. Our business is education and financial services. But we have a lot more than enough lawyers and the like to talk to you about anything from wills and trusts to taxes. And matter of fact, a lot of our guys are tax. They do taxes. I mean, that's their second business.
Mm-hmm.
They do taxes.
So you probably worked for the IRS at one point.
Those guys work for the IRS. Actually, we had a Zoom the other day. One guy worked for the IRS for 30 years, and he started his own business, educating people about small business people about taxation, how to use the system more effectively.
If
you get on here, you are an independent contractor, so you're responsible for your taxes and everything else at the end of the year.
Here's a question for you. Patty says, I have a whole life plan for my daughter since she was a newborn. It does pay out when she's 21. Do you suggest that is a good financial starter for her?
It is a great financial starter for her, and I bet her grandparents bought it. So at 21, she becomes the owner of the policy. That's true. And we really don't want her to spend the money. We need to put the money away. So use it for education, whatever it was designed to be. But yeah, that's one of the good ways of saving for kids. There are better products today than whole life products. Products that pay, well, we just do. A whole life product actually allows you to build cash value. There's insurance policy that you can't build cash value, but these policies, whole life policies, are designed to build cash value over time. So if she has this for 21 years or the like, she must have some cash value built up in it. This is a cash value product. There are better products in the market today that we can roll money into from these ones because these are controlled by the insurance company. The returns are small, 2, 3, 5% returns, not 5, maybe 2, 3% returns. guaranteed by the insurance company, by the way. So that's a great product from, they're still very, very, very good products. Some companies sell a lot of whole life products. We do not. We concentrate on the newer insurance products, but that's a great product. Because do you suggest that is a good financial starter? Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
What is a better plan that you're comfortable with?
In the old days, 1950s, we had term insurance. Term insurance is like buying a car and buying insurance for your car. You only use it if you get an accident, right? That's one term. Then they've got whole life insurance. Whole life insurance is exactly what she just showed, which you buy the premium, you pay a premium in every month, $100 a month, for example. Some of that premium pays for the insurance itself, and the rest of it is in kind of invested, and the company pays you out a percentage every year. But the insurance company decides everything on its own. You have no control. You can just pay the premium, and you must pay the same premium all the time. Whole life, you can't change it. Premiums are not flexible. Then they came up with universal life policies, UL, universal life policies. Those give you more flexibility. So you could put in more money into the policy so you could grow the cash value faster. Or you could put less money. If you don't have enough money this month, you can catch up. The premiums are flexible. You can put more, you can put less. There are limits on the top side, but you can put less or more into the policy. So that's universal life policies. And then they came up with something called a variable universal life policy. Now, a variable universal life policy is a product that has an insurance component and an investment component. That investment component is actually invested in mutual funds and the like on Wall Street. So the value of that product can go up or down with the market. In a great market, it looks beautiful. In a down market, it comes down with the market. So that's via variable universal life product. And then the latest product is what we use a lot of, is an index universal life product. It's a life insurance policy, but it's attached to, for example, the S&P 500 is an index. If the index goes up, you get gains based on the return of the index. If the index goes down, your account value stays where it is. So your account value is not invested in the market. It just sees the index and it moves with the index upwards, and it locks at a certain point. Those guys has a cap on there, which means the insurance company says if the returns are 25%, we'll cap it at 15 or 13%. So you can't get any more than that, but there's no downside. So we use those quite a bit because of the downside. In 2008, when the market went down, a lot of people lost a lot of money in their VULs. They just lost a lot of, as a matter of fact, a lot of people closed the account because they had to put more money in them to keep them up and running. So yeah, let's go back and review. Term insurance, whole life insurance, that's what she just showed. Those were really, really popular back in the day. They're a little less popular now. Then you had universal life insurance policies, give you flexibility in premium. You could put more money in, put less money in, depending on your situation. And then we had variable products that are attached to the market, so they go up and down with the market. And then finally, we had index products that goes up with the market, but they don't go down. There's a cap on the top side. You can't get, if the market goes 40%, you can only get the cap, whatever that cap is. And on the downside, there's a zero. So you can't lose money, basically, in those guys. And they've been paying out somewhere, I think Nationwide pays out, or looks like about average between 8 and 9% from the products we've seen over 10 years or more.
So the index, I have a question. So the index policy, right? When it caps, is it best just to take your money out or just leave it?
Cap doesn't mean cap. Let's say, an example. You have an index universal life policy on a good market, great market. The market went up 25%, S&P 500, let's just pick one of those guys. The S&P went up 25%. If the cap is 13%, you can get 13%. You can't get all 25% because you have no risk. There's no downside risk for you. If you get that 13% and the market goes down the next year, you still stay where you are. You're not losing any money. So the company, that's the cap, basically the cap, because on a good market, I'll take the cap because I know on the downside, there's no loss. So if you're a conservative kind of investor that don't like to lose money, that's the product for you because you can't lose money. You just cannot lose money.
And the minimum to get into that would be what, based on your age? And
that's interesting, man. You, at your age, the numbers are small. So insurance is personal. It's for you. It's a personal thing. So we look at your age, your lifestyle, your health. Those three things are what determines what you pay. Now, depending on your situation, we may decline you, but usually most declines I've seen is for health reasons. People if you have a renal disease, kidney problem, you're probably not going to get any insurance. If you have certain other diseases, we'll say, all right, the basic is like $50 a month or $100 a month. They up it to some number. So you get you grade it upwards. So you pay a little more premium, but you still get covered. So it's all personal. So you have to sit down with somebody and says, I would like to get one of these. We run an illustration. It takes 1 minute to run the illustration. And we tell you, based on, I want to get $500,000 worth of insurance. It'll cost me this much. I want to get $100,000 worth of insurance. It'll cost me this much. So you can adjust based on your budget. You can decide what's best for me.
That's good information, y'all. Hey, Octavia. Yes, Vern says, I say they can spend and get an apartment, house, or car, and the rest stay in savings. Yep, that's a good idea. So you think, you personally, not necessarily speaking for your company, like savings, you only get like what, 0.01% now?
If you put your money in the bank today, the return on your money in the bank is less than 1%.
It's less than a penny.
Less than 1%. So I have no idea why you would keep $100,000 in the bank. But if that's what you want to do, it's your money. I can think of 20 other places to put your $100,000. I can think of it, but that's not a place to put money for that. If you have an emergency fund in the bank, I have no problems with it. Your expenses are $10,000 a month. You have $6,000 in the bank. I would even complain about that. But anything above that, you want to move it out of the bank. Find somewhere else to put it. That's it. I suggest you find some place to put it where it's not ever taxed. Tax is a big issue. A lot of people have 401ks and IRAs, retirement plans. They don't realize a number of things. So if you get the money, you have to pay a toll. But if you get your money out of your 401k and you better be 59 and a half years old, or there's a 10% penalty. That's the first thing. If you leave it in there long enough, when you're 72, you must take it out. You must start taking it out. So there are reasons to put money in other places beyond your company 401k, for example. So any extra money, you want to put it someplace where it doesn't get any taxation anymore. And another thing is maybe 30% of the value of your 401k belongs to Uncle Sam anyway. I would like to make sure my daughter has a good financial start in life. What other things I could do for her? Oh, cool. Number of things. There you go. We need to sit down. We have to, how old is she? What is her plans? Is she graduated from college already? Has she graduated from college already? Does she have any income? A lot of times we want to do things for our kids, but we have to start letting the kids do things for themselves also. So don't leave her outside of the thing. Sit down with her, figure out what she wants to do, what she hopes to accomplish, plan, have a plan, and then sit down with somebody and come up with some solution to those things. This is really, really serious for your kids, because I see kids graduate with a couple of $100,000 worth of student loan debt. And for the most part, they could have gotten, if they did the right thing, much more financial aid if they plan properly. Financial aid is another thing we spend a lot of time talking to people about. Especially people with young kids going into college down the road. Yep. It's an interesting question with the daughter, though. I always like to think as wealth as generational. So There's one generation that starts to build a foundation, the other generation builds on it, and the other one builds on it. That's how we build wealth. It's very unusual to have a Facebook or an Amazon or whatever else. It's very unusual. Usually, wealth is built one generation at a time. We don't want to leave. Okay, that's a great question, because you really don't want to leave the kid just hanging out there on their own. You really want to be involved. So they know you care. They know you love them. That's fine, but they know that you care. They know they can come back, that they can talk to you, and then you can go get good advice for them. I think. What's the smile all about?
Oh, Octavia was mad at the tax.
The taxes? Oh, you can't do anything about it. That's Uncle Sam's money. 30% probably is it. The average tax on those things about 30%. So your $500,000, you Uncle Sam, 30%. 5 trees is 150,000.
So then, so in my opinion, I would just take out the 401k while you're still working, so that 30% won't be as much.
What is suggested, I'm not telling you to do any of this. It's suggested that as your insurance, your 401k gets bigger and bigger, you have to find you can move the money in small amounts into other places.
Oh, okay.
So you don't have the bit, but you do have to pay the taxes, but you're paying taxes on small amounts of withdrawals over time. So you say, I take this much out, I take this much out. Every year you take some money out and put someplace else. That's one way to draw it down. So by the time you have to pay taxes, it's a smaller number you're paying taxes on. And you already moved your money. And if you put it someplace where it's tax free, you won't have to worry about taxes again. So you
already paid twice.
One side, you're not paying twice. Exactly.
That's dope. Yes, I'm waiting at 877. Question. All right, here's the question. Should you use your 401k up first or your pension? Ooh.
If you're retired, and this is an opinion, not facts, I think it's a good idea to use you get 3 things when you retire. You're lucky to have a pension, by the way. Most people don't have pensions. The IRS sends you a check, right? The Social Security check. If you have a pension, there's a second thing. And there's a third thing will be your 401k. So your 401k is your personal savings. Depending on your age and your need, I would let the 401k grow, leave it alone. And if I could live off my Social Security and my pension, I would do that first. I'll definitely do that. In the meantime, you could, depending on how big the 401k is, you could start moving money from there into something else. So small amounts, especially if you're already retired, you don't have the 59.5 penalty anymore. If you're 70, you mandatory, you have to take it out anyway. So if you're 72, I think it was 70.5, now it's 72. So at 72, you have to start taking money out of the 401k anyway. Put that money someplace, let it grow. So you'll be building a nest egg. Every time you take a required minimum distribution, RMD, you take that out and you put it someplace where it's never taxed. So you can do all 3, but I would leave off my Social Security and pension first. And then I would start moving the 401k into someplace where it's never taxed and draw it down over time. That would be my suggestion. But it's just a suggestion.
She said not retired, employment was eliminated.
Employment, so you're not working now, okay. I would still do but it depends on your age too. If you're gonna get a penalty to take the money out of the 401k, I wouldn't take it out. If you're not 59.5, I wouldn't take it out. Use the pension and use the 401k. That's the intent anyway, to supplement your income. So most of the stuff would come out of your pension, and then whatever is needed extra would come out of your 401k. That would be the way I look at it. If you're still working, leave the 401k alone, let it grow.
Yeah.
She may go back to work. So if she goes back to work, you just use your pension and that income and let the 401k
continue.
Yeah.
So Octavia said, the tax will kill your money. Money out. Yeah, that's another question. They let you take money out of your 401k. You can borrow against it, right?
There are a couple of things that you can do with no penalty. I think for education and health and your first house. First house, they only let you $10,000, I think it is. I'm not sure what the education, the other one is, and medical stuff is. But those three, there's a limit of what you can take out of the 401k without any penalty. I think they let you do that. Beyond that, any withdrawal beyond that, beyond those three reasons, you're taxed.
You're taxed anyway, sure.
Tax your tax bracket. You're taxed at your tax bracket.
You're taxed anyway. So, guys, if you have any other questions, please, go ahead and let Bill know. This was very informative. I learned something. I definitely did. If there's no other questions, I'll let it go for a minute. What I'm going to do is put you on a solo panel where you could tell people how they can find you, whether you have a social media or whatever information you want to do, and also like something encouraging. Then, do that once I put you on a solo. But I want to wait like a minute or two to see if there's any other questions. And that's a good thing. Like, I think the most that I got out of everything, is the education part.
That's the most important part. Yeah.
To educate yourself as early as possible, to understanding financial freedom. Because we all get finances. We're all going to get finances, but it's whether it's to your freedom or to another crutch.
You work for money, but you want your money to be working for you at some point.
Yeah.
Which means I go to work. I save and invest, and all of a sudden I don't have to go to work anymore. My savings and investments can take care of me. Basically, that's where you're heading. You can't work all your life. At some point in time, you say, look, it's no fun to go to Walmart or one of these. I shouldn't even pick on Walmart and see this, 75-year-old person, at Walmart, and they're not there because they want to be there. They go there because they have to be there.
Yeah,
they have to be there. Imagine COVID. They have to be there. That is just, to me, that makes no sense. Especially if you work an entire life. You work from 25 to 65. That's 40 years. You have no business doing that stuff. But education, planning, if you ask the average person how much money they make, they'll never answer you. But I can go to their CEO website and I know exactly how much money he makes. Why is that? What are we hiding? We ashamed that we don't make enough money? What's going on with that? Come on. You got to know where you are so you can, where you want to go. You know where you want to go.
All right. I'm going to put you on the solo panel. And if any other questions pop up, I'll put it on the screen. But, let everybody know how they can find you, last words of encouragement, all that good stuff.
Okay. Again, this is Bill. I'm with RHI. RHIA, you can see on the bottom left of the screen, is my company name. We are in the financial services business, like I said, and we do, first of all, financial education. And for customers that need service, we provide services to them, various types of services. But what I think we really do well is provide an opportunity for people to get on board with us, learn the business, and grow a business of their own, but not by themselves. You can grow a business of your own, not by yourself. You have somebody holding your hand. You have a back office that takes care of the things, the technology stuff you don't have to worry about. And the opportunities are really endless with us. That's the first thing. So just a little about us. I have a website that's up on the link somewhere around here. You can click on there. My name is in there. Phone number, email address, and everything is in there with some blurbs on what we do as a organization. If you have any questions, you can fire. What I honestly want to say is, it's sad to work an entire life and don't have enough resources to take care of yourself. And one of the reasons that is that we lack basic financial education. We need to understand how money works. We need to understand what interest is. We need to understand what the interest rate is. Interest rate on a credit card is a negative thing. Everybody pays interest, but 29% is not a good interest rate on a credit card. And a lot of people are walking around with these terrible interest rates on the credit cards. Not picking on credit cards, they're good tools to have, but And that second thing is you must have an emergency fund. You have to find some way to put money away. So we suggest 3 to 6 months of expenses. So anything happens, you lose your job, for example, in this market, you see what's going on. Businesses are closing left and right. You need some emergency fund to give you a cushion. So down the road, you can pay your bills off in the next 6 months and not have to worry too much about that stuff. Thirdly, we look at a lot of insurance protection. We lost 300,000 people plus in the last, from March, it's not even a year. How many of those people lives were insured? How many of those people have left families behind in a terrible financial situation, in a worse off financial situation? What happened if they had spent some time and sat down with somebody and bought an insurance policy, like my friend on here with a whole life policy? It doesn't seem like a lot, but that's what we need to be doing, protecting ourselves and protecting our families, especially those we may leave behind. You don't want to leave your wife behind with 2 or 3 children with no resources to take care of the family. So we stretch a lot of insurance, and then we concentrate a lot of retirement and education funding. Any questions? I am available to you.
All right, man. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Everybody was saying thank you for the information. Verns, Patty, Octavia, all of these people. Thank you guys for joining and coming in and listening and, interacting with Bill and making him feel welcomed.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. As you all know, my name is Joy from Be the Difference Clothing, and this is
Bill.
Yes.
RHIA.
From RHIA. And
yeah, that's my company.
Out on another episode of Say It With Me. Hello, world.